Hey guys, before I start the podcast, a quick introduction. My name is Varnit and I'm the founder of Pet Excel Marketing. Pet Excel Marketing is a marketing agency that specifically works with pet businesses. Over the years, we have worked with pet food brand, pet relocation businesses, pet SaaS companies, pet clothing brand, cat food businesses, dog grooming services, and many other product and service-based pet businesses globally. Our services includes everything from creating graphics to running your ad campaign. Not only that, we have built amazing websites and apps for pet businesses. So if you have a pet business and would like us to help grow it, click on the first link in the description to book a call with our team. Now enjoy the podcast. Guys, welcome back to Pet Brand Podcast, the show where we dive deep into the world of pet businesses, uncovering insights, strategies, and inspiring stories from industry experts. I'm your host Varnit, and today we have two incredible guests joining us. We are thrilled to welcome Dr. Gerry Pahl, the founder of Pet Export Vet, a veterinarian-owned pet relocation services that has been helping families and their pets move safely across the globe since 2006. And alongside him, we have Carla Pahl, who plays a crucial role in the business growth, marketing, and selling strategies. While Dr. Gerry will take us through the veterinary aspect of pet travel, Carla will share insight into the business side, like how they market their service, like scale their operation, navigate challenges in this unique industry. So in this episode, we will explore everything from complexities of pet relocation and health consideration to the strategies behind growing a successful pet business. So whether you are a pet owner preparing for an international move or an entrepreneur looking for business insight, this conversation is packed with value. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Hi, Dr. Gerry. Hi, Carla. How are you doing?
Good
Hi,
morning.
good. Hi, Varnit.
Very well, thank you.
Great. So yeah, let's start from the beginning. Like every journey has a starting point, right? So like, can you tell us about your journey and how you got into the pet relocation industry?
Yes. Well, I'm a veterinarian from Australia originally, and I moved to Hong Kong
Yeah.
almost 30 years ago, and moved into a veterinary clinic, which I'm now a partner with. And as I was working through that clinic through the years, I was getting clients who were requesting health certificates for export, and I started to do some of those, and more of those. And I thought there was a niche in the market for a veterinarian-owned pet relocation company.
Yeah.
And so that's how it sort of evolved. It evolved fairly slowly, and then we got to a point where we actually took one of our own pets back to Australia for a short period of time, and that was sort of the impetus for me to really look at doing the whole service, the full service, which is what we now do.
Because at that time we had a lot of friends that
Yeah.
were moving, and so they were coming, and then friends of friends, and it just slowly evolved. It never set out to become a business, but
Yeah.
it slowly evolved as one.
Yeah. So basically, you saw a need in the market, and you thought that maybe this is the right time.
Well, I don't even know, to be honest, if we saw a need in the market. I think we accidentally stumbled across it, because remember also it was many years ago, and at that time there weren't as many players in the market as there are now. And so it was just, we were just a resource to a need that gradually grew. Well, Gerry was, I wasn't at that stage. And it just eventuated from there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And since you are based in Hong Kong is a unique and vibrant place, spanning nearly 3 decades there, must have shaped your perspective, right? So what do you think, like, how has that experience influenced your approach to pet relocation?
Well, look, it is a vibrant market, and the good thing about our clients here in Hong Kong for our export business is that they're very dedicated. And as a veterinarian in Hong Kong, my clients are extremely dedicated to their pets, because it's not actually easy to own a pet in Hong Kong.
Definitely.
And so there are headwinds there. So we find that that's really shaped our way to provide the service that they need for the export process.
And definitely, like, starting a business is definitely never easy, especially in such a specialized field. So what do you think, like, what were some of the biggest challenges you guys faced when you were launching a business?
The biggest challenge for a pet relocation company is that you need to have a global connection with both at origin and destination. And so the very first thing I did when I set the company up was to actually become a member of IPATA, which is the International Pet and Animal Transport Association. And that instantaneously gave me not only a global network of other agents everywhere, but also gave a lot of support regarding knowledge and experience and things like that. And so there's conferences and there's lots of online sort of information available.
And how does that actually work? Like, you guys have connections in different airport in different countries. Like, how do you like manage that?
Well, we do connect with all of these. We meet a lot of these other agents at conferences and things like that. So you have face-to-face. You always want to deal with people that you know, ideally. And so we then exchange information, and we've got then a database of all the different people that we may reach out to, depending on where we're sending the animal to.
Right. And also the pet relocation industry has changed significantly over the years, right? So since you started Pet Export Vet in 2006, so what do you think, like, what are some of the biggest industry shift you guys have seen?
Well, I think that one of the biggest shifts is that the numbers of pets that are travelling. Obviously, there's been quite an explosion of pet ownership, especially in Asia, the area that I'm working in. So we've seen a large increase in the numbers. There's been a lot of changes with the airlines. Obviously, the airlines are a crucial partner with pet shippers, and there's been a lot of changes regarding their which pets they accept and things like that, and routings, which are always changing as well. So there's a lot of knowledge base required to successfully run a business like this.
And also, I think the regulations also changed rapidly, right?
Yes. Like the big thing is most countries set their import requirements based on the biosecurity risks, what they call the biosecurity risk. And the number one is rabies disease, which there are a lot of rabies infected countries around the world. And so basically countries will set their standards based on the risk of rabies and some other diseases as well. And they can suddenly change their rules. Like we had one situation where we had a cat that was flying to Dubai. And while that cat was in the air, the Dubai government changed their regulations overnight to require a parasite treatment. This cat didn't have it. And so my team, thankfully, experts at remedying these sorts of situations. But that's how sudden things can change. And several situations like that where governments have changed things fairly quickly.
Recently, I went on a call with the CEO of Starwood Pet Travel, and they said what people do, they see like online videos and they kind of like plan their pet trips, and those online videos are like 3-4 months old. But when they really comes, like when the D-Day come, right? The whole regulation have changed, and now they have to work towards that. They have to change their entire process.
I know. And I mean, that's why with our business, we like to provide a full service. So we're in control of all of those aspects of it, and we take responsibility for those things too. So, it's our reputation that's on the line. So we just make sure that everything is done correctly and make sure that we're aware of all of the new regulations. And that's what you get for, using a service like ours.
Amazing. Talking more about the pet relocation process, like for many pet owners, the idea of relocating their pets can feel overwhelming, obviously. So can you walk us through the pet relocation process from the start to the finish?
Well, it varies a lot depending on destination. For example, some countries like Japan and Australia require quite a long lead time to prepare an animal, because we may need to do a rabies blood test at the very beginning and then wait 6 months before the animal can depart. So we've got like a 6 or 7 month timeline there for the relocation process. And we do lots of other things in the middle of that, like getting an import permit, setting up the quarantine applications and booking. There may be parasite treatments and other blood tests, and then final health checks normally towards the end of the process. And at the very end, we have to tend to that animal and prepare it, for the flight. And may inquire require discussing with the owner about crate conditioning and ways to reduce stress and anxiety for the animals. So there's a lot of complexity to it, and we give a lot of advice to the owners to make them comfortable for what's going to be happening.
Great. And also, Carla, you can also join like whenever you feel like joining in and sharing your views.
Yeah, well, another important point about that is the client. Some clients are managing the whole relocation themselves. And the emotional aspect of that for people, it's not only moving their pet, often it's taking children as well, leaving schools, setting up new schools, leaving jobs, starting new jobs. The emotional stress around it all.
Absolutely.
And there's other other people who perhaps have company relocations and HR departments, and so they are in the enviable position of having great logistics teams sort out. But at the end of it, they still have their pet, and so that can be quite an emotional experience for people as well, when they do have to sort of leave it to their HR company to work with us. So I think the one thing about it all is it's always stressful and emotional for people, and having the ability to know that things are being done correctly. I think that's what most people want for everything, right? And I think they say that moving house is one of the biggest stressful events of your life, but actually moving country is, especially if you've got pets and young children. So it is really multifaceted. It's not just moving that pet. These clients of ours have so many other things going on that they have to be thinking about as well.
Definitely.
And so, yeah, from an emotional point of view and a psychological point of view, it's something really important. But we not only have the clients that go cargo that need a lot of preparation, there's also the excess baggage, that's one way. And we also do private charter.
Wow.
Corporate private charter. We work with private charter companies for holidays. So there's lots of things that we have some clients that take their pets on holidays and come back each year. So depending on the tier, depending on what you're actually doing and how you're relocating.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of information out there about pet travel, but not all of it is accurate, right? What do you think? What do you guys think? Like, what are some of the biggest misconceptions people still have about moving their pets internationally?
Well, I don't know, misconceptions, but they certainly have concerns regarding the safety. Obviously, that's a big thing, right? And there's a lot of misconceptions out there about cargo travel. And I'm actually one of the very few people in the world that's actually taken part on cargo flights and been on cargo flights, because I, many years ago, would travel together with snub-nosed animals from Singapore, between Singapore and Hong Kong. And I would go on a cargo flight together with the animals, because that was the only way the airline accepted it. And so I know what it's like, the conditions in the cargo holder. It's all temperature and climate controlled and a very safe environment. So that's one of the big misconceptions. There's a lot of noise out in social media about being dangerous. And I would have to say that, it really is not the case.
I think also one of the other misconceptions is cost, especially if you look on a lot of the social media platforms, and what you were saying before with your previous guest saying I'll read things on social media or YouTube, and they'll make comments about, oh, well, I relocated my dog in whatever year and it only cost this much. So this whole misconception I see when I'm looking at that pet relocation companies are just out there to do eye-watering, profit, and there's actually so much involved in it, and there's so many differentials that you can start the process and you can have that all-inclusive quote if something happens
Yeah,
regarding world fuel prices or that affect the aviation
exactly. Yeah,
industry,
yeah,
that is going to trickle down.
yeah,
And unfortunately, they have to be passed on.
yeah,
But the thing is, those things would be passed on anyway, because if you're going to fly your pet, you're going to have to take what those costs are.
absolutely.
So I think that's one thing that I have to just agree with that comment from Star Wars. Sorry, who did you say? The name of the guy that you spoke, Brett. I have to agree with him wholeheartedly, because and that also causes that sort of misinformation causes frustration, because then when clients are already emotional and they
Yeah,
know they have to move, and then they actually realize, well, actually it doesn't take this, it's not that fast, and it's not a simple case of filling in this form and getting it done. And because of some situations, there's a lot of veterinarians who will not do the pet travel side of things,
wow.
because they don't want to take the responsibility of an angry owner or a pet
Yeah,
not having the correct documents done at launch time. It's too risky, and so all of those things, they always seem fantastic and easy and effortless until they're not.
yeah, exactly. And I think the process is so complex, right? The
Yeah,
regulations are changing, the what breed dogs that you are taking, right? Which location you are taking them. This is like, I think this is the most complex thing ever.
It is. It is.
Great, great, great. Talking more about the veterinary expertise and health consideration. Since your business is veterinarian owned, which makes it stand out in the industry, what do you think, like how does it sets you apart from other pet travel companies like in the industry that you think?
Yeah, well, it does set us apart. I mean, I think the
Mm.
important thing is that as a veterinarian, I can go to the client's home to
Yeah,
do all
yeah,
the health checks and blood tests and anything that needs to be done. So there's a lot of, not only is it convenient for the client, but it's also much less stressful for the pet. They don't have to go to a clinic to have things done. So that's certainly what my clients often remark as a very, very, especially if they've got multiple animals, for example, in situations like that, where I can go there and do everything in the setting of their own house, which it makes it a lot easier for them and a lot better for the pet.
yeah, yeah.
so there's times when um, if something happens on day of export, something simple like, maybe a dog scratches itself or something, being able to, you've often just gone straight to the airport and address the situation where if you weren't a veterinary surgeon being able to do that,
Definitely.
that pet could quite possibly have been bumped off that flight. So some little things like that, that's also a really big point of difference, because we think about the process as such, but there's been numerous occasions where there's been and little last minute things where they've been easily rectified, but it's certainly been very helpful that you've been able to do that, because in any other situation, those pets may have been bumped.
The other thing too, being a pet travel specialist, I deal a lot with many questions I get regarding anxiety. They're very worried about the stress of the pet when they're traveling. So I talk about all sorts of things regarding preparation, like crate training and naturopathic things that we've got, things like Feel Away and Adaptool, which are products that we use for sprays in the crates. Also, actually, prescription medications for anxiety. There are ones that we can use that are non-sedating, and they can really relax and but not cause any physiological issues with the travel. So these are important things that my clients get to discuss with me at the time that we see the animal.
And I had this question regarding the snub nose breed, like pugs, bulldogs. Like they are known to have like unique travel challenges. Like, so why are they more difficult to relocate, and what precautions do you guys like take to ensure their safety?
Well, as a member of IPARDA, and over the years, we've actually been doing a lot of research into snub-nosed travel. And what we found at the very beginning was that airlines were completely banning the breeds for no scientific reason. And we wanted to bring some science to that discussion and create a knowledge base regarding snub-nosed breeds. And we've done that over the years with the IPARDA R&D task force. And we've developed what's called the fit to fly assessment for snub-nosed animals, which is now well recognised. Many airlines around the world are using this program, including Cathay Pacific and Qantas and Emirates and Swiss Airlines and Air Canada. Many airlines are using it now, Turkish Airlines. And they'll accept animals, these snub-nosed breeds, if they pass this specific breathing test. So it's a specific assessment of their breathing. And what we've found is that only a very small percentage of snub-nosed individual animals have got severe breathing problems. And so if we can identify those animals which should not fly, then we can make it safer and allow those ones that are okay to fly. And that's the way the program has been working.
And long haul flights can also be, particularly stressful for pets, especially those traveling for the first time. So what advice would you give to pet owners who help them prepare their pets for such long journey?
Well, look, to be honest, the flight time doesn't have a big determinant in the risk of travel. We know that. Obviously, what a lot of people worry about is, can my dog or cat, hold on through the journey, and will they need to pee and do things like that. So we have things like for long journeys, for example, 8 to 12 hours. We use like a vet bed, which is a really comfortable, absorbent bedding material, which even if they pee or even if there's water spill, it stays dry, and so they stay dry and comfortable. So that's something important that they can do. But normally once they get into the cargo hold and they're flying, it's dim, it's a constant sort of humming noise, it's not loud, it's controlled, and they're bored, they just do nothing. So they'll just sit in their cage for that duration, and it doesn't really make a lot of difference as to how long that journey is, to be honest.
No, are there any breed that are not allowed to travel? And what are the reasons behind these restrictions?
Yes, there are some restrictions for fighting dogs, for example, and that's not only airlines. Some airlines have require reinforced crates for those types of animals rather than the normal plastic crates. And also, some countries have got restrictions regarding the import of fighting animals as well in certain breeds. So that's something that we normally will look at. Which with each job that we're doing, to make sure there's no restrictions regarding that.
Also, on a side note, I just want to ask, you guys are comfortable with this setup, right?
Yeah.
If you want me to fast track the question to ask question quickly,
no, we're fine.
As long as you're okay, you're happy with it.
That's look great.
You just need to move over a bit though, because you're squishing me off.
Sorry.
That's better. I was going further and further. I was like, how do I get back into the picture again? I'll be a voice.
Moving forward with the challenges of industry strategy. International pet relocation is a complex operation, obviously involving multiple stakeholders. So what do you think, what are some of the biggest logistical challenges when relocating pets across the borders?
Yeah, well, the biggest logistical challenge is finding an airline that's going to give you a nice direct routing. Ideally, we want just one flight, right? But that's not always possible. So sometimes we need to transit through another location, city, for example, or country, and so that can be a challenge. And finding that routing often can be challenging, especially if there are breed restrictions as well. And so if you've got a combination of a breed restriction, or you've got like a seasonal embargo. So, for example, with Air Canada, for example, they've got really cold weather. There in Canada at times they might have a winter embargo. They'll maybe some airlines will have a summer embargo. So you may be restricted as to when you can actually ship the animal, and then you've got the breed, and then you've got obviously being able to find that network, because you generally have to use one airline to go from A to B, and even if it's via C, you really got to use the same airline for the second leg. Otherwise, you've got to import it and export, and that's quite complex and difficult to do. So we definitely want to transit an animal if it can't go on a direct flight.
And like every business has that one case that stands out. Like can you share a particular complex pet relocation case you guys have handled?
Oh, yeah. Instantly comes to mind was during COVID. We had a situation in Hong Kong where a lot of people actually relocated back to their home country, and their animals couldn't get out. So at one point we had over 100 animals in Hong Kong without their owners, and we didn't have flights to be able to get them out. It was really difficult. So actually at one point we had over 80 pets, dogs and cats in Hong Kong that we needed to get to Australia. And so we actually liaised with the Australian government and also with Qantas to do 2 special shipments to get these COVID pets back to Australia. And so we had about 40 animals on each flight. So logistically, preparing 40 animals for Australia, it's already a complex country to ship to. And my team was just amazing, and the support we had was fantastic, and Qantas were fantastic, and the Australian government was fantastic, and we got all of these animals back to Australia. So that was the standout for us.
Yeah, and it was amazing because the reunions was it was heartwarming. People and we knew the other end of this because our 2 of our children were locked down in Melbourne and one was locked in the UK. And so we actually, as parents and pet owners, understood what that was like. Our daughter in the UK didn't see her dogs for 18 months, and our daughter and son in Australia didn't see their pets here for 15 months. So, you know, that reunion is just
absolutely
you can't put it into words. It's one of those emotional moments.
Definitely.
Yeah, made it all worth it. Made it all worth it.
And on a side, like how many people are there in a team who are making this process easier for you guys?
We've got 7 in total for our team, and that's includes our consultants and
we have an operations manager who's extremely experienced with a logistics background and an absolute pet lover. We have pet relocator consultants who are experts in that, and then we have I do the content and management, HR, and we have another person who does management as well. So our team is very communicative, and we break it up into the various facets of the business because our main focus with our business is our point of difference being Gerry, and so we make sure that part of our business, the veterinary aspect, is 100% front and foremost, because that's what our clients are expecting, and then we support that, and then it ripples on for the customer service and what we can provide. It also, we need to, in our team, we're all very supportive of his work in IPATA. He's now the president, and that has a lot of meetings and
definitely
external requirements of him. So he needs to be completely supported with our team to make sure that we can support our clients with all the logistics arrangements and correct scheduling and things like that. Otherwise it could we've had a lot of growth in our business, and with growth comes an expectation from your clients, and you need to maintain that to support your clients' expectations. You can't just talk it and not walk it. So,
definitely. Basically like managing the growth, but also managing the quality of your services.
And making sure that each team member is really able to use their specific skill set, and we have got great team members, but we all work well and communicate well. And I think that's really important in the business because I mean, like Gerry mentioned earlier, things can happen very quickly. Legislations can change, things can change. And so if we're not on top of that, knowing exactly who we need to speak to at what time and how to communicate, it's vital.
Absolutely. And also industry standards play a crucial role in ensuring safe and ethical pet transportation, right? So what role does International Pet and Animal Transportation Association play in setting these standards, industry standards?
Well, IPATA is representing professional pet shippers all around the globe. So we're an association of pet shippers. The association is based in the USA. But as far as industry standards are concerned, the organisation that's in control of live animal regulations is IATA, which is an airline association. And so they set standards for that. They've got what they call a live animal and perishables board, which the live animal program runs under, and they set the standards with their live animal regulations, which is a big thick book, which is now an online version, with all of the regulations pertaining to animal transport, all species, not just dogs and cats, but everything, elephants, horses, chickens, whatever. Wow. It's all that live animal regulations, and it's very detailed. And so the airlines use that live animal regulations manual to work out whether we're tendering the animals in an acceptable manner and making sure that everything is compliant. So the crate is of sufficient standard and quality, big enough, things like that. And the airlines are very particular about these things, and it's up to pet shippers to make sure that we are making sure we prepare everything correctly within those regulations.
Also, you guys have won multiple awards, and which is like testament to your dedication and excellence. So, what do these recognition mean to you and to your team?
Oh, well, we're very proud of receiving these awards. I mean, I received the Excellence Award from IPATA related to the leading the research on the snub-nosed travel and the BOAS program, they call it. And so that was, wonderful to receive that. And just last year I received the Millie Wolf Award, which is a leadership award, which is very, very honoured to receive that, just basically for my contributions to the industry.
Talking more about the marketing and growth side of things. Marketing is definitely lifeline of any business, especially in a niche industry like pet relocation. So how you guys are currently marketing your business to get this growth?
I'll leave Carla to discuss this because she's the expert on that.
Yes, Carla.
I think whether it's a pet relocation or any business, in 2025, we can't put aside the need for marketing. So for us, we have got a YouTube channel, which we're trying to continually grow. We have Instagram, we have Facebook, we have LinkedIn. And I think the important thing is to constantly put content out. It doesn't matter if it's a short reel or a small spiel. And that content in our business in particular, but I think most businesses, it needs to be authentic. So I will only make sure things go on that are true photos of Gerry or true photos of testimonials from our clients, true photos, because we can all go onto Canva and get some basic generic clips. But it's very obvious. And so I think showing the care, the dedication, and I know personally from going out from time to time to get photographs, it's just so heartwarming to see the rapport that Gerry has with the animals, which is always lovely and very comforting for the clients, especially for pets like maybe tiny hamsters or guinea pigs or rabbits, they're quite flighty, and they almost get a bit mesmerized. I've on the website, I've got a photo of one, and it's looking up, making eyes at him. So I think for any social, it has to be authentic, and it has to, show people their interest points. And even if people aren't planning to travel, it's very nice for them to be able to see some of the processes, because it's interesting, right? We get interested in things. It's the way we are. So but also where I think I've been able to help a lot in the marketing is my background is I actually am a clinical hypnotherapist. So I work with a lot of workspace situations. So I do understand quite a bit about emotional aspects, and so I do have a lot of content that I try to create to be educational and informative, to maybe support people's anxieties and stresses and fears about pet relocation, and to bring across that we're, Gerry's a veterinarian, but we're also pet owners, and we do love our pets as much as they love theirs, and that's our big slogan. And we're all about that end family reunion.
Yeah, definitely. So, like, as of now, like, which source is the best? Where are you getting the most amount of leads for your businesses? Like, which has been the biggest source of that?
So, we have made sure, again, it's like everything. You can't set and forget it. It needs to be constantly analysed. And so fortunately, I do almost every day look at the analytics and do a lot of the back work. I do the coding on the website. So I am constantly keeping it innovative. And I think that's the thing, keeping the trends, keeping it innovative. So we get most of our, we get a combination. We get a lot of word of mouth recommendations, which
and I think that's the most powerful.
Always your best. Always your best. Yep. And then we also get leads from, obviously, we've got some general Google advertising that we do. And we, do some Instagram, Facebook, social boosts sometimes. I have to say, though, that we've been actually really, maybe because I can do most of the work myself, but our advertising budget has been minimal. But we've had great lead generation. So I think it comes down to always the content, the authenticity, and giving helpful expert advice. That I think helps a lot, because we can be very, very generic otherwise. But yeah, I think the authenticity is what brings us the leads, because I work really hard on making sure people see that.
Definitely. Or is there anything right now in your company in terms of like marketing that you're feeling like this is the biggest obstacle that we are feeling, you guys are facing?
No. I think one of the things when it comes to marketing, especially at the moment, is you need to dedicate time.
Definitely.
And no one's ever going to be as dedicated to your marketing your business as the business owner. Okay. So I've had some disasters in the past because I operate many businesses. And so to try and lighten my load, I did try to outsource a little bit. It was a disaster. By the time because you lose that authentic aspect of it. It becomes a little cookie cutter, right? And you're able to market and get things out very, very quickly. Little things, a photo here, a snap there, a testimonial here and there. So I think that there's only an obstacle if you're time poor. And unfortunately, I think that's the issue with many businesses, especially businesses that start off and just go, ooh, they zoom really quickly. You know, a lot can get lost in that process. And, you know, it is overwhelming. It's very much overwhelming.
Definitely.
To know how to navigate and do
manage
this.
everything.
Yeah. And so that's getting back to what we said before. Our focus is making sure that he does the veterinary work of the business. And that our team do the logistics work. And that we have the infrastructure. I mean, that's the other thing that we've done. We've got really good infrastructure, and we've put in a lot of automation measures within our company so that we can get our quotes out very, very quickly, that we can give full and complete quotes, because that's one thing that we have noticed. People will get a quote, but there'll be a lot of stuff missing. So then they'll send us back. We often get CC'd and it'll be like, well, actually, that's not mentioned, and that's not mentioned, and that's not mentioned. So I think the perception sometimes is, oh, you're using a vet, oh, that's going to cost a lot of money. But actually, we are quite competitive in the market. We're not the cheapest, but we're certainly not the expensive, but we certainly give value for money.
Definitely. Talking more about the pet owners and their concern side of things, moving a pet internationally is definitely an emotional journey, like you guys stated. So, what do you think? What are the most usual common pet owner like concerns pet owners have relocating their pets? Like what they come up with?
Probably the number one is safety.
Safety,
Safety. They are worried whether the animal is going to be able to make the journey, and obviously that's the crucial part of that is making sure that the animal's healthy. And so we look very closely. I look very closely at the animal's medical history and make sure there's no underlying medical conditions which may impact that animal's travel. That's a really important thing. And obviously also letting the owner know exactly how they're travelling, whether it's going to be in a cargo hold or in cabin or whatever. We let them know that, that it is safe, and this is how it is, and this is what it looks like. So that's probably the most common thing. And another thing is they are worried about the anxiety of the pet, not only the health of the pet, but the anxiety. So I get a lot of questions regarding that. And as I say, with my knowledge and understanding in this area, my clients, I can customise a program to minimize the anxiety for that animal that's traveling.
And also not all relocation involve cats and dogs, right? So what do you think, like what are the most unusual pets you have ever helped relocate?
Oh, well, we've located all sorts of small exotic animals like hamsters and guinea pigs and chinchillas, like the South American ones. Also snakes. We've done quite a lot of birds. We do and these animals often have got what we call CITES restrictions. CITES is the International Endangered Species legislation. So these animals have got an extra layer of complexity in their moves because we need to actually have special CITES import and export permits, and sometimes they're quite difficult to get, and because there may be an unknown history with the animal. So they're all very interesting moves.
Geckos?
Yeah, geckos.
And you did goldfish.
Goldfish as
well.
Goldfish.
That was a private.
That was some goldfish together with some dogs on a private jet.
When I was on call with Brett from Starboard Pet Travel, they were saying they actually relocated a grizzly bear.
Oh wow!
And they for it was for like a circus or something like entertainment field, but that thing required them to do like a whole 360 of like process and everything. So that's definitely crazy.
Yes.
Moving forward with the more question, some relocation just aren't like feasible for various reasons, right? So have you ever turned down like a relocation request? If so, like why?
Not normally. I'll turn down a relocation request if there is a health issue where I really think the animal is not fit to fly. And it's a difficult discussion because we're talking about the pet owner animal bond here, and we all know, how much we all love our animals. And it's a really heartbreaking situation if you've got an animal, for example, with a severe heart disease or some metabolic cancer or some other issue where we really think they're not fit to fly. And then, so some owners actually elect to not go or whatever. They wait, and that can be done. And obviously, situations having to talk about rehoming an animal if they can't really stay where they are, it's a really difficult conversation. But it
doesn't happen very often.
It's very rare. It is very rare.
We work with all their veterinarians, and you can look at all of their case notes, and we work really closely with their veterinarians or their specialist veterinarians. So that's something, I guess, another point of difference that we can look at the whole picture for the best outcome for the animals' welfare. But I will actually say, which we won't unethically ship pets. We have from time to time been approached to ship certain things that ethically we just would not do. We would
Definitely, not. Obviously, And also the pet travel industry is constantly evolving with new trends emerging. So what trends do you see shaping the future of international pet travel?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I think that what we're going to see in the future is probably no changes in the regulations for countries. That's not really going to change. I think a headwind is going to be that there may well obviously be increased costs in the future as well, which may make it more difficult for and we're all for trying to find solutions for that going forward, to make it as economical for people as we can. It is obviously something that is a reality in the industry, to be honest. So we're constantly seeking out new airlines and other ways that we can do things to make it a smooth process for everybody.
I think also there'll be increase in automation and connectivity. And I think that is just crucial. And I know that IPATA is working really, really hard on that that connectivity. And with that, the ability to have automation, really good tracking
systems
of pets. Another thing that is something that I think probably in the next decade we'll see a lot more of a focus on environmental friendly aspects of pet travel. Lowering the carbon footprint, things like that are all things that we all have to be responsible and aware of. And so any logistics business is going to have to really look at that or be left behind, because clients are going to have a certain expectation, industry will have a certain expectation. And if you're not thinking that way, safe, ethical and environmentally less impactful. So that's what I see as being a direction.
The World Cargo Symposium, which is all airlines getting together every year, their main header topic this year is sustainability. So it gives you an idea of how the airlines are looking at it as well.
Definitely. And talking more about the expansion and global reach, certain destinations see higher pet relocation demand than others, right? So what are some of the most common destinations pet owners relocate their pets to from Hong Kong?
From Hong Kong, the main destinations that we've got, probably in order, is Australia, also the UK, Singapore, locally from Hong Kong. Singapore, a lot of traffic between Singapore and Hong Kong because they're both, very similar sort of centres for business. And
we get a lot of imports from Singapore as well.
Okay.
As well as exports. And we import a lot
Yeah, and Canada and the US obviously as well. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, amazing. Talking more about the advice for the if somebody is listening to this podcast, they want to get started in industry. So running a business for nearly 2 decades bring a wealth of knowledge and experience, obviously. So what do you think, like what is the most important lesson you guys have learned in your journey so far?
Well, for our industry, the most important lesson was to join an association, which is going
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
network. That's clearly the most important thing, because you
Mhm.
just can't do it on your own.
And don't
Definitely.
do it if you don't love animals.
Yeah, you got to love
If you
animals.
don't love animals,
Yep.
don't do it. Just
Yeah.
Yep.
don't do it, because you and there are plenty of people that think that it's a quick way to make some money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it just, if you don't love animals,
You've got
and
to
if
be
you're not
passionate. You've got to be
you've got to
passionate.
be passionate, and if you're not prepared to understand that pet owners get emotional and they get stressed,
Yeah.
and they are relying on you to de-escalate their stresses and anxieties,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
they need to be able to trust you. So if you don't like people and pets, it's probably not a good business model.
Definitely, definitely. And looking back at nearly 20 years of running your business, if you could go back and change one thing about how you built your company, like what would it be?
There isn't.
Yeah.
No.
No,
Mhm.
we're very happy with the way it's evolved. I mean, I think the thing is, crawl before you walk, before you run, and as your business grows, you have to make accommodations for that and change your systems and allow it to expand in a way.
I think, I don't think any business 20 years along the track can sit there and say, oh, everything's been a bed of roses, it's all been fabulous. I mean, we of course have gone through the evolution of what most businesses go through. We also, had that time of COVID, which shut down Hong Kong. Everyone's emotions were extremely high. So, how can you prepare for the unexpected? And so I think you have to have an element of fluidity in your trajectory. But if at the core of your business is your passion and your belief, you'll be able to navigate when obstacles come in your path. And come out the other end of it bigger and stronger. And build on lessons learned. And I mean, I think that's fabulous for any business, to be able to take tripwires and obstacles and really see it as an ability, flicker to make it something, an opportunity to grow and expand with.
Yep. And guys, that's bring us to the end of the incredible episode of Pet Brand Podcast.
Amazing.
A huge thank you to Dr. Gerry Pahl for sharing his expertise in the pet relocation and veterinary insight, and to Carla Pahl for giving us a behind the scene look at the business, marketing, and growth strategy that drive pet export vet forward. Thank you so much, guys.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow friends, lovers, and business owner. Until next time, this is Varnit signing off from Pet Brand Podcast. See you in the next episode.